Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is the first of two presentations about Unit 9.1 Grammar connected with conditional sentences. This first one looks specifically at the hypothetical conditional talking about the past, often called the third conditional. You can find information about this in your course book, page 144. Here we will learn to talk about past situations and regrets, have a look at a practice activity, and give some recommendations for further study and practice. So this hypothetical conditional, the third conditional, we use it to talk about the past and the hypothetical or imaginary situations and their results. We use it to express regret about something that happened and wishing that it had not, or wishing that something else had happened or that it had happened differently, or talking about the different things that would have happened in the past in different situations. So think about these statements and these questions. I moved to Turkey in 2009. How can I talk about a different past? What if I didn't move to Turkey in 2009? If I hadn't moved to Turkey in 2009, I wouldn't have become a teacher. I graduated from English language, but what if I had studied medicine? If I had studied medicine, I wouldn't have got a job at Anadolu University teaching English. Barney Stinson married Robin in How I Met Your Mother. What if he had stayed single? If Barney hadn't married Robin, he would have dated many more ladies in New York City. So although the grammar may seem complex in these sentences, it's actually language that's used a lot in English, especially when we're talking about this situation of what if it had been different. Look at this real past event and the imaginary hypothetical sentence about that event. If I hadn't eaten too much last night, I wouldn't have been ill. Another example. If I'd arrived on time, my boss wouldn't have been angry. That's imaginary. What really happened, I didn't arrive on time. My boss was angry. That is what happened. But if I want to talk about that in another way, perhaps regretting what happened, if I hadn't arrived on time, my boss wouldn't have been angry. So answer these questions about these examples. If I hadn't eaten too much, I wouldn't have been ill. Did I eat too much? Yes. Was I ill? Yes. So this sentence is actually the opposite of what really happened, because it's imaginary, it's hypothetical. If I'd arrived on time, my boss wouldn't have been angry. Did I arrive on time? No. Was my boss angry? Yes, he was. It's the past that didn't happen, imaginary. Sometimes this conditional is called the unreal past. So look at the grammar structures used in this sentence. In the condition, the if clause, if I hadn't eaten, that's past perfect tense. The result clause uses would have plus the past participle, or verb 3. In later studies, you will also see that with the third conditional, we can use could have or might have to change the possibility of what would have or might have happened in the past. Pay attention to the pronunciation and the usage of this. In spoken and written English, we often use contractions unless it's very formal, but be very careful with how fast that many speakers say it, especially the words like would not have and been, which, because it's a grammatical phrase in this sentence, is unstressed. It doesn't have a meaning like a noun or a verb. So, in this sentence, if I'd arrived on time, my boss wouldn't have been angry. Wouldn't have been. Wouldn't have been. It's very fast. Many accents, especially native accents, will say it very quickly. Okay, so looking at the structures, we can now move on to a practice. Complete these sentences, putting the verb into the correct form. Pause the video now and try to complete these sentences. Remember to keep them logical by using negatives where necessary. Okay, let's have a look at some of these step by step. If I hadn't met my wife, I wouldn't have got married. I did meet my wife and I did get married. So this sentence is talking about the past that didn't happen. If I hadn't met my wife earlier, I beg your pardon, if I'd met my wife earlier, I would have got married earlier. I didn't meet her earlier, so I didn't get married earlier. But I would have if I had. If my car hadn't broken down, I would have arrived earlier. But my car did break down. I didn't arrive on time. So again, these sentences are examples of talking about the past in an imaginary or hypothetical way. The rest of the answers are now on screen. Practice those sentences by actually saying them. Focus especially on the pronunciation of the contractions. For example, Sherlock wouldn't have caught the criminal if the criminal had been cleverer. Try saying that. Repeat it over and over again and try to achieve a natural speed. Of course, it doesn't matter if you do not say it as fast as a native, but be ready for how a native may say it. For further study, you can do the activities in your supplementary pack, page 176, exercises A and B. There's also My English Lab. And of course, there's numerous links online. Here are two in particular with Learn English at the British Council and Learn English Teens, both of them very useful. On screen also is a writing or speaking activity that you can use to practice. You can also, of course, send any questions you have to your course teachers via the Edmodo platform. Good luck in your studies.